Lucia is actually a Sicilian saint, so originally Catholic and from Italy. But she became popular in Sweden because there was a battle in which Swedish forces were surrounded, and Lucia was seen coming across the water bearing food to the soldiers who were inside within this castle or this fort. And it's come to really mean, at the time of this battle, it was the darkest night of the year, or darkest day of the year, I should say, the shortest day. And it wasn't just the food, but it was the bringing of light and symbolically the victory of light over darkness. I spoke about what an amazing thing it is that Christ was born in Bethlehem, but for many reasons that we often don't talk about. Christ was born after Joseph and Mary had traveled by foot, probably, from Nazareth to Bethlehem. And there, even though often we see an image of Joseph walking and Mary on the back of a donkey, but donkeys were expensive. And Joseph and Mary were not well off. They were poor. Joseph was a carpenter. So probably they went by foot the whole way from Nazareth to Bethlehem. And it was uphill. That's another thing that you should know. Jerusalem is at the top of is on a height, and Bethlehem is not far. So they went walking uphill. When they got there, since so many others were coming there for the census, they came late. They didn't have anywhere to stay. Jesus was born in a stable. And then not long after that, King Herod, who had learned of this new king and was frightened and sent out his soldiers, killed all of the firstborn sons in that town, in Bethlehem. And Joseph and Mary heard of this, and they fled to Egypt, again traveling on foot, most likely, and then returned. So it's a wonder that Jesus came into the world at all in the midst of all of those circumstances. And it's not a wonder only for the reasons that we traditionally think about. It's for those reasons that he's a child born of refugees, you could say, in a land that was occupied by foreign soldiers. And thinking about that, it sounds very familiar to the world that we live in now, and that so many children are born as the children of refugees, far from home, and that their lives are a miracle as well, in the same way that Jesus was. And as we celebrate this time of Christmas, which we think of often as a time to celebrate children, perhaps we can celebrate even more those children who are born under these difficult and miraculous circumstances, and to celebrate the lives that manage such hard times. Han kommer till vår frälsningshem, och nådens sol av honom tänd, skall sig ej mera dölja. Han själv vår Herre vara vill, att vi må honom höra till, och honom efterfölja. Höjde, höjde, över tiden och i friden av hans rike. En gång varda honom det andra kapitlet, verserna 1-14.
It's very strange. Actually, I have to now, after 3 months in America, I have to translate in my head from English to Swedish back before I start to feel comfortable again. So for me, it was a very, 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 very special thing to see. So I have to say, and everything is, I recognize everything. It looks like the same. It feels like the same. So I think it's a very cool thing.
Ta nu emot Herrens välsignelse. Herren välsigne er och bevara er. Herren låter sitt ansikte lysa över er och vara er nådig. Herren vänder sitt ansikte till er och giver er frid. I Faderns och Sonens och den heliga Andes namn. Amen. Thank you all for coming.
We celebrate it. It's a wonderful thing. We love it, especially during like schools. They do Lucia and daycare centers and kindergartens. And for us, we see it's like a wonderful thing you can do with your family, and grandma and grandpa and everyone is coming and watch kids to sing, and they have coffee together and talk and have a great time. So it's more the symbolic of having a great time instead of the originally reason why we started to celebrate it. Now it's more having a great time.
I think probably many Swedes aren't necessarily aware of the full history, but Lucia is a very, very strong tradition, has been for over 100 years, and although I think probably during the last 50 it's become very, very popular, and it's become kind of a Miss America pageant in Sweden. There's a Lucia that's chosen for the entire nation, and there's a big celebration in one of the big parks in Stockholm. And so it's the prettiest and most talented girl who gets to be Lucia.